3 says this, "Whom have I in heaven but you? I desire you more than anything on earth. My health and may fail, and my spirit may grow weak. But God remains the strength of my heart. He is mine forever." Our call to worship. Flood our thoughts with wonder and awe. Give us a great glimpse of a never-changing God. Let's sing this chorus together. Till all we want and all we need is found in you, found in you, Jesus. Every victory is found in you, found in you. Open wide our hearts now to yours. Every fear bow down to your love, that we would see like never before. Give us a great glimpse of a never-changing God. Till all we want and all we need is found in you, found in you, Jesus. Every victory is found in you, found in you. In your presence there is freedom. In your presence we are made whole. Come on, sing that together. In your presence there is freedom. We believe. In your presence we are made whole. Till all we want and all we need, come on, is found in you, found in you, Jesus. Every victory is found in you, found in you. All we want and all we need, it is found in you, Jesus. Every victory is found in you, found in you. Oh, 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 yeah, can we just sing that chorus one more time? Till all we want and all we need is found in you, found in you, Jesus. Every victory is found in you, found in you. All we want and all we need is found in you, found in you, Jesus. found in you. Here I quiet my soul. You are all that I see. Still within me the worries of life. Here my heart is at peace. And I draw near, I draw near to you, and you draw near, so you draw near to me. Here I lay my life down, cast my cares at your feet. Jesus, here in this moment with you, I have all that I need. I have all that I need. Let's sing that chorus together. I draw near, and I draw near, I draw near to you. Draw near, so you draw near to me. Oh, I draw near, I draw near to you. Jesus, I do. And you draw near, so you draw near to me. Jesus, you alone are my hiding place, my all in all, my everything. Jesus, you alone are my hiding place, my all in all, my everything. Jesus, you alone are my hiding place. draw near, you draw near to me. And we just draw near to you, Jesus. You are our one desire. We follow you. And I will follow you. And I will follow you. No turning back. No turning back. No turning back. No turning back. This is my heart cry, though none go with me. The cross before me, the world behind me. This is my heart cry, though none go with me. The cross before me, the world behind me. I will follow you. I will follow you. No turning back. No turning back. No turning back. No turning back. All right, lead it, Susie.
This is my anthem, my life for your fame, my every move brings glory to your name. This is my anthem, my life for your fame, my every move brings glory to your name.
I will follow you.
I am decided.
I will follow you. No turning back. No turning back. No turning back. No turning back. The cross before me, the world behind me. I will follow. I will follow. The cross before me. Come on, lift it up. The world behind me. I will follow. Come on, all you got. I will follow. The cross before me. The world behind me. I will follow. I will follow. The cross before me. The world behind me. I will follow. I will follow. No turning back. No turning back.
love to get to know you. And I also want to let you guys know about something we have coming up here soon. Believe it or not, Easter is right around the corner. It may feel like summer sometimes, it may feel like spring sometimes and winter right now, but Easter is right around the corner. You can scan the QR code up on the screen and it'll give you all of the information that you need to know. It'll talk about service times, children's programming, and even a little bit of breakfast at the early service, so wake up early. And with Easter coming up, I want to ask you guys a question. Who is the person you want to see sitting in that seat next to you? Who do you want to see come to know Jesus on that day? Maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's somebody that you're not even sure of yet. Who do you want to see next to you? And I want to invite you guys into something this morning. Before you go ahead and walk out those back doors, this is something that's uncomfortable, and I know that it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me as well. But I want to invite you guys to pray with the people next to you. And that's because we believe in the power of prayer. We believe that God can do amazing things even through such small works. And so even just a little while ago when we did this in service, we had a story of someone that I know. She gathered up with the people around her, and after they finished praying, the guy next to her said, you know, I've just really been looking for community here and I just haven't been able to find it. And she's like, well, that's perfect. I've been looking to start a small group, join us. And right then and there, he found the community that he was looking for. And so it may be what we're thinking, it may be something completely different, but God can do amazing things through our prayers. And so we're gonna put 2 minutes up on the screen, and I want you guys to pray specifically for that person. And I want you guys to also pray for the boldness and the courage to go and find that person and invite them in. And so 2 minutes is gonna go up on the screen, gather up with like 3 or 4 people. All right, go.
How we doing? Good. I hope praying together was enjoyable. I know oftentimes it's really uncomfortable. And just like Jared said, it's uncomfortable for me too. But man, over the last maybe 2 months that we've been doing this, some of the coolest stories in our church have come out of these times. So thank you. I just want to say thanks for taking a risk, but also thanks for praying for people that need something missing in their life right now. And oftentimes we don't know what that is, but that's Jesus. So thanks for lifting up specific people. And the encouragement I would give you is to keep doing that. So if you don't know who I am, excuse me, my name's David. I'm the lead pastor here at Frontline, and I'm excited to dive into what we're talking about today. You can see I brought some props. I like props. I also like tools. So tools, anybody else like tools in this room? Anybody else? Okay. I'm just trying to find my people here for a second. So how many of you would willingly admit you don't always know how to use the tool that is currently in your hands? Would you? Okay, right? Home Improvement, Tim Allen, does that show resonate with anybody? That's a little bit like me. And sometimes I will buy a tool. This is where I get it from my dad. Sometimes I'll buy a tool that I don't really know how to use, but I'm like, I kind of want to use that one, so I'll go find a project to go use that tool. So I brought a bunch of them up here. I got a mallet right here. A couple other things, crowbar. I don't often need this one, but when I do, it's handy. Hammer, same thing. Self-explanatory. I mean, these are like the boring tools that I have. The more fun tools that I have often have power attached to them. Anybody else? I feel like that's where I got a ho, 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 like Tim Allen, like ho, 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 ho. You know, like that. That's what fires me up. I was walking around with this. I was torturing people that didn't know I was there. So there's somebody in the back room. They were working quietly. So I just snuck up on them and just try to see them jump. I mean, anything like that. Batteries, things that you plug in, pneumatic tools. I like tools. I like building tools, but I have a tenacity for actually collecting tools. Anybody else in the room? You have a knack for just collecting these. You can walk through a garage or a pole barn or a shed and you just go, you have way more tools than projects. You would probably feel comfortable at my house. I want to talk about a tool today that all of us have, all of us deal with, all of us encounter all the time, and the tool is called money. I actually want to talk about money, and so just for dramatic effect, I brought a whole briefcase full of money. Are you judging me right now? You have no idea how nervous I've been walking in all day today. Like, why are you looking at me? Get away from me. I don't trust you. You know how many people have walked away with this briefcase once they found out what was in it? And half of them were my staff. Money. It's this really interesting tool, and it's funny if you think about it, how many shows, TV shows, movies, I mean, all revolve around a briefcase full of money that somebody takes or somebody steals or somebody hoards or somebody collects or somebody hides or somebody runs. I mean, so many things, so many movies, so many entertainment value items that we watch actually have a lot to do with money. And money, what we know is money does something interesting to the human heart. That's why I can open up a briefcase and I got the reaction that I did. All your eyebrows got really big and you went, whoa, how much is in there? I'm not even going to tell you. I like this, just kidding, I'm going to tell you. It's like $64. I don't want to get robbed. It's like $64. That is not worth you going to prison for. So $64. If you need help, come up and ask me at the end. You should have seen the look on people's faces too when I was like, I need to break bills. Do you have like lots of $1 bills? Like for what? I was like, I'm a pastor. And it just didn't connect with anybody. So here's the deal. Money is an important tool that all of us have, all of us use, but it's also a force, isn't it? It's like this force that tends to control us. That's why we're in this series right now called The Forces That Control Me. Money is maybe one of the most powerful forces that controls most of us in the room or watching online right now. I'll prove it to you with some statistics. According to the American Psychological Association, you know the number one cause of stress in America is money. I feel like I should just play with it for a little bit, just walk around with it. So if I pull this out, number one cause of stress in America is money. 72% of Americans feel stressed about money at least some of the time. So hypothetically speaking, 72% of you feel stressed about money. Maybe you felt stressed today or this week or this month. If I keep going, 81% of Gen Z is stressed about money. Money is the number 2 cause of divorce. Did you know that? Infidelity is the first one. Money is number 2. I keep going. There's an increase in suicide rates following financial crises in America. So if you look at significant crashes like 2008, suicide rates go up because of money. This last one is really interesting. 74% of Americans define success in financial terms, even over relational or personal fulfillment. Isn't that interesting? Money affects us, whether we want to admit it or not. Whether we have a lot or a little, there's just something about this that does something inside of us. That's why we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it in the church. Money does something weird to the human heart, and we call it a variety of different things, oftentimes I think to try and get some distance from it, but here's some of the things that we call it. We call it cash or credit, we call it retirement, investments, passive income, entitlements. We can keep going on more of these. It's budgets and assets and safety nets and slush funds and the American dream. But what is it exactly? What is money? If we can define it in its most basic form, money is a tool. Money is a tool. It's really nothing more and nothing less. Today's topic is difficult for most of us because it is a force that controls us most or more than most other tools. And if we're not careful, what we can do, just like 74% of Americans in our country do, is actually pursue this and the accumulation of money and wealth and prosperity and freedom. We can actually accumulate this more than the other most important things in our lives. So I have a disclaimer for you. Especially if you're not a church person, if you're not a Jesus follower, if you just came today because somebody invited you, I just want to put you at ease. I'm not going to ask for your money. I'm really not. This whole sermon is not about getting something out of you. I'm not going to ask you to write a check at the end of this. I'm not going to make some grand pitch and go, you should give to this. I'm going to tell you about some cool things that are going on in our church, but this is not to try and get anything out of you. In fact, most churches steer away from talking about money because it feels like it's this conflicting information. Like, here's money, and you should do money, and you should give money, and you should give it to us money, and then here's the way that you can give to us. That's not what we're going to do today. I don't want your money. Just like God, I want something for you. That's what I want today. And so I think if you actually lean in for the next couple minutes, 20 minutes or so, if you lean in for 20 minutes, you might leave here seeing your money different, and you might actually see it the way that God does. That's all I'm going to propose. So we're diving into a story. In this whole series, we're looking at interactions and experiences and encounters that people had with Jesus. It's all throughout the Bible, and so today's story is no different. Jesus, if you didn't know this, 15% of his preaching was on money, and money is mentioned over 800 times in the Bible. So one of those interactions looks like this. It's Luke chapter 19, verse 1 and 2. If you have a Bible, open it up. If you have your phone, pull it out. I'll put it on the screen here, but this is one you might want to come back to and read again and again, like I have. It says this: Jesus entered Jericho and made his way through the town. There was a man there named Zacchaeus. Everybody say Zacchaeus. We're going to make it really easy on you. Go ahead and go to the next screen. We're going to shorten his name to Zach. All right? Everybody say Zach. How many of you know somebody named Zach? Beautiful. How many of you know somebody named Zacchaeus? That's why we're going to call him Zach. Okay? It's more relatable. So there's a man there named Zach. He was the chief tax collector in the region, and he had become very rich. A couple things that jump out in this part of the passage that you need to understand to actually get the full amount out of this passage is this. The scene is Jericho. We're in this place called Jericho. Jericho was a wealthy and prosperous city. In fact, it was so wealthy and so prosperous that Herod, who was the king, the acting king at the time, built his winter palace in Jericho. Jericho is a destination. It's a place for a lot of rich and wealthy people to land, and so the chasm between the wealthiest of the wealthy and the poorest of the poor was distinct in Jericho. And Jesus enters into Jericho, and it says Zach, our friend Zach, was the chief tax collector. It's the only time in the whole Bible that actually refers to somebody with that title. Everybody else is referred to as a tax collector. Matthew, one of Jesus' own disciples, was a tax collector. Tax collectors were not liked at all. It was as if they worked for the IRS, but they were the local people. So what would happen is, in this case, Zacchaeus was a Jew, and so he would tax his fellow Israelites, but he would be bought by the Romans. So the Romans ruled the land. So the Romans would come in. It would be like this. It'd be as if the federal government came here to Grand Rapids and said, we're looking for a bunch of locals, and we're going to make you really wealthy. We're going to give you the ability to tax everybody here however you want. We're going to give you a number that you need to provide out of this city. And anything above that is yours. And you go, well, I don't know, how do I make people do that? And they'll go, here's the army. They'll do what you tell them to do, and if they don't, you can use our authority. You can throw people in prison. You can take all of their stuff. You can ruin their entire livelihood or their families or generations. You can do whatever you want to get whatever you want as long as you pay us. How many of you like Zach right now? Not a lot, right? Not exactly a guy that you would invite over for dinner. And here's what it says. He was really rich. It's in one of the richest cities where wealthy people are everywhere, and he stands out. He taxes them. He works deals with them. He is hated by everybody. He's hated by the people he turned his back on, like his family and his friends and those that he grew up with, so that he could tax them and extort them for what they're worth. And he's also hated by the wealthiest elites because he takes from them. Zach is hated. He's hated. But he hears Jesus is coming to town, and it says this, verse 3, he tried to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowd. I just feel bad for the guy, because the only thing that we remember about Zacchaeus forever now is like he was a really rich tax collector, and he was super short. They just get married together for all of eternity. Zach, the short guy? Yep, that's who we're talking about. So he ran ahead, verse 4, and he climbed a sycamore fig tree beside the road, for Jesus was going to pass that way. So he's so short, he can't see over people. So he climbs up a tree, and he's trying to get a look, and he's trying to wait, and he's hoping Jesus passes right by in front of him. And it says this, when Jesus came by, he looked up at Zach, and he called him by name. Zach, probably Zacchaeus, but Zach. It's like, me? You're talking to me? Zach, he said, quick, come down. I must be a guest in your home today. Zach quickly came down, climbed down, scurried down, whatever, and took Jesus to his house in great excitement and joy. Why did Jesus pay attention to him? Like, how do you feel if you're in the crowd and you're watching Jesus kind of cycle through? Jesus has been doing ministry at this point for 3.5 years. He's well known all over the place. He's a miracle worker, took a boy's sack lunch and multiplied it, fed thousands of people. It's mind-blowing. Jesus turned water into wine at a wedding. They ran out. Jesus brought the best stuff out. People who have been sick showed up to Jesus, or people who had sick relatives or kids or family members or moms or dads or in-laws. They brought them to Jesus, and Jesus healed them. Dead people that had died. Multiple. Some of them interrupting the funeral or the burial process. Jesus showed up, and their hearts started beating again. Jesus had a really significant reputation all over the land. And Zach wanted to see him for himself. So he moves close. And I can only wonder what's going through his mind. Like, would Jesus ever want me? I'm hated by everybody. I'm not wanted by anybody. I just want to see him. I want to see the guy that everybody has described, whose reputation goes before him. I just want a glimpse of him. And that same Jesus turns his attention to Zach. And he says, I want to have dinner with you. Let's go to your house. It's a pretty amazing scene, if you think about it. God's working in Zacchaeus' heart in a pretty profound way, but not everybody is thrilled with it. In fact, verse 7 says this, but the people were displeased. That's understated. Can we all agree with that? They were not displeased. They were angry, furious, outraged. He is gone to be the guest of a notorious sinner, they grumbled. I think it went like this. Are you kidding me? Him? Of everybody you could do, everybody you could talk to, everybody you could initiate time with, of anybody you could address right now, you pick him? He's the head of the IRS that has taken advantage of all of us. Why him? Money does something interesting, doesn't it? Did they hate him because he was the tax accountant? Did they hate him because he was wealthy? Did they hate him because he was a traitor? I don't know why they hate him. But it's interesting. Money often becomes more than just money. And it tends to screw up relationships and identities, and self-worth and value and purpose, and all of it, because money is never just money. It does something to us. Something we can all agree. Changes us, changes relationships, identities, and a sense of security and significance. Money, if I open this again, it's hard not to play with this, I'm just going to be honest. In its most basic form, money is a tool. Right? We agree? We're quiet right now because we don't totally agree. Is that fair to also surmise? It does more, doesn't it? Here's what money is for me. It's two things that jump out. Money to me is security. So when I can put it in here and I can keep it close to me, I can use this if I need it. I feel safer with it. There's problems and hardships and broken areas of life that I can actually buy my way out of. I don't have to be stuck on the side of the road because I ran out of gas. If I have this, I just fill up my gas tank. Or another one, I don't need to be afraid of a lot of diagnoses because if I need medicine or treatment from a doctor, I have this. I don't necessarily have to work in this job forever if I have this, because eventually I can just set it aside and go, I can kind of do what I want, whenever I want, for as long as I want, as long as I have this. Am I speaking your language yet? Anybody else relate? When I have this in a bigger and bigger pile, or a bigger number, or a bigger investment accounts, or bank account, or slush fund, or safety fund, or safety net, whatever you want to call it, the bigger this is, the more secure I actually feel. I think that's true for a lot of us, but the other one is significance. This is kind of like a scorecard, isn't it? Anybody here like sports? A couple people? You're afraid to raise your hand because you don't know what I'm going to say next. I wouldn't raise my hand right now. I like sports. Sports are fun to watch. It's easy to track. It's easy to find out who's winning. A scoreboard has numbers. And you see the numbers go up. And what we've learned and what we've been taught and what we continue to teach is that the higher the number, the more likelihood that you have of winning. But what happens is we end up in this infinite game where there's no number that you hit and the game is over. The game is over when you die. Therefore, oftentimes the goal of the game of life is to get the highest number possible. And it's why 74% of Americans say, I value wealth and money over personal fulfillment and relationships in life, because those are hard to measure, but I can measure this down to the penny. And so for me, I can relate to that. It feels like a scorecard. Here's where that works against you. As soon as I give it away, if I open it up again, as soon as I give it away, I lose, right? As soon as I hand it to somebody, it goes away. Do you feel the same way? Not everybody, but some of us. This is a big area of struggle just between me and God, if I'm being honest with you. It says in really fine print, right on the back of it where it says one, this one's a $1 bill, it says, in God we trust. Isn't it oxymoronic? It's like, in God we trust. I trust you when I have that, Lord. And then when I don't, I don't. Money's interesting. It plays off trust. I think what God wants to do in his church and with his people is to actually build a relationship of trust, where money no longer becomes a source of security and significance, but it actually becomes a tool. It actually re-becomes a tool. We turn it into something else different, but it actually becomes a tool all over again. So I used to believe that if I had enough saved up, I wouldn't feel anxious. I wouldn't encounter crisis. I'd be able to buy my way out of pain or discomfort or I remember when I was 16 years old, my family moved from Chicago, Illinois to Midland, Michigan. And cost of houses was a little bit different. Cost in Chicago was high, cost in Midland was lower. Remember my family moved in 2008, it was the summer, and a few months later we hadn't yet sold our house, and then the market tanked and crashed, and my parents carried 2 mortgages for 2 years, and it wiped us out. It's really interesting, one of the most formative times of my life being a high schooler, learning about money and stewardship and finances and then economics and investments and all that. What I saw was when this becomes a source of hope and security and significance, when it goes away, so does your source of hope and security and significance. Man, it was formative in my life. So I realized, even lately, I still treat money like this. I still treat it like that. As politics change or as leaders change and as economies ebb and flow in the season that we're in, it's crazy how much I don't need it as long as I'm right next to it. And then I try to get a little bit of distance to it and it feels like it sucks me right back. I'm just letting you in, this is where David is in my relationship with God. And you know what's funny, what he keeps saying to me? You are no more secure in anywhere else except for when you're with me. That's true about a lot of things. You're no more secure. You're no more significant. You're no more valued. You're no more loved in any other category of life than you are when you're in relationship with Jesus. See, relationship with Jesus actually reframes how we think, how we talk, how we relate, how we work, and how we treat money. And this thing that actually tends to reinforce distance from God and independence from God, when we actually see it as a gift from God, it creates this dependence on God and it reduces our dependence on it. A friend of mine sent me a text a couple weeks ago and he just said, "Hey man, I was praying for you this morning. I felt like the Lord brought this verse to my mind. I just wanted to share it with you." Well, he didn't type out the verse. He just gave me the reference. So I was really excited. I was like, wow, that's cool. The Lord spoke to you. You want to know what the verse was? Matthew 6, verse 19. "Don't store up treasures here on earth, where moths eat them and rust destroys them, and where thieves break in and steal. Store your treasures in heaven, where moths and rust cannot destroy, and thieves do not break in and steal. Wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will also be." I blocked them right then and there. I was like, you don't hear from God. That was wrong. Nailed me, didn't it? It's like, wow, Lord, here I am again. I get close to it again, and the Lord goes, "Hey, I'm just inviting you. Come on, get over here. Let's get away from that." That's a tool. It's controlling you. It's focusing you all on this thing and this number and this entity and this outcome, whatever that is. Come on over here by me. It's crazy when I get distance from it. I sit with the Lord, what he starts to deposit. In fact, I start to see it with greater perspective. I think there's 3 different ways that we actually see money. And if I walk you through them, I would start with this. 3 ways we can see it. The first one is this: entitlement. What's funny, in our country right now, one of the areas of struggle, if you look at our budget and deficits and Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and all of that, do you know what they call all of that stuff? Entitlements. It makes sense. You know what entitlement is? Entitlement is I give you X and you give me Y. I am entitled to do it. Was a transaction. We just made a circle. So I give you X, you give me Y. I give you A, you give me B. A plus B equals C. I think I mixed my metaphors there a little bit right at the end, but you kind of get what I'm saying. And if we're not careful, what actually happens with money, if we see money as I am owed for my skills, for my soft skills, for my hard skills, for my experiences, for my background, for what I bring, what I contribute, the value that I have and the value I change in an organization or a family or part of a legacy, right? A legacy of people. Maybe for you it's the workplace or it's our country. Or maybe for you it tends to be like I've spent time in this category. Sometimes it's how we treat God. God, I did for you X. You owe me. You ever heard somebody say, I made a deal with God? I've said that before. God, I will give you this if you give me that. God made a deal with us. It was just a very one-sided deal. He did everything because he loved us. That's the deal God made. Now he wants a relationship with us. Entitlement, if we're not careful, the way that you see entitlement will actually taint and ruin and destroy the relationships you have with friends and family and spouses and children and grandchildren and God. Maybe that's how you see money, but maybe that's not where God wants to leave you. Maybe that's not where you want to be yourself. Second one is this, it's ownership. Ownership is really, it's an interesting one because it looks at everything you have through the lens of this is mine. So if entitlement leads us to resentment, you know what ownership leads us to? Bondage. I've been waiting to do this illustration forever. So, this is kind of fun, isn't it? You've never seen maybe you have seen a pastor in handcuffs, I don't know. Most of us go through life like this. Do you know that? And I think we put the handcuffs on. This is mine. You can't have it. I already told you, you know how many people walked away with my briefcase already this morning? I thought about putting this on early, but I like the surprise effect. It's like, no, you can try to take it. I'm going with. Most of us actually go through our lives just like this. Whatever I have earned. It is mine. I now own it. And the problem is, what we don't realize is, it's this question, do you own your money or does your money own you? You know how stupid I would look if I handcuffed a drill to my hand? Like a power drill? You'd be like, what's wrong with you? You'd be like, I'm not going to lose it. What's wrong with you? You just go in different rooms and workplace, and it's just like, why are you holding on to that so tightly? I'm not. I'm just keeping it close. This is how so many of us function with money, and it's funny. It is funny. You can laugh. I'm trying to keep this lighthearted because we all know it's really serious. When your money owns you, you are indebted to it. You'd be the richest person in the room, and your money could own you just as much as the poorest person in the room. It's not about how much you have. It's about what has your heart. That's why Jesus talks about it so much. 800 references all throughout the Bible, 2,300 verses, 15% of Jesus' preaching is on money. And he says you can't serve both. You can either love God and serve him, or love money and serve it. But the two are incompatible. And most of us have experienced or understood why. You tracking with me? I really hope the keys didn't fall out. That was my biggest concern. The last one, the way that we can see money, it's actually stewardship. Stewardship is unique, and it's different because I'm not owed anything as a steward, nor do I own it. Stewardship is an acknowledgement that somebody else owns what I'm currently in possession of. I've just been entrusted to take care of it. That's how Jesus actually describes and talks about money all throughout the Bible, is it's a stewardship. What we have ultimately comes from God. He gives it. He makes the land produce crops. He gives us skills to create businesses that generate value that turns profit. He gave us minds to think and people to surround ourselves who think differently and bring different qualities and skills. I mean, if you look at the world, all of the natural resources that exist, none of us can take credit for creating anything. We've just taken what we've been given or what we had access to, and then we were able to do something with it. Sometimes great and amazing and huge things, and other times small things, and just equally as important. Stewardship acknowledges, though, that when I received it, it wasn't mine. And while I hold it, it's still not mine. And at some point, someday, I will hand it off to someone else. And then it won't be mine. You see the trajectory there? It's never mine. Do you know what stewardship leads to? Freedom. I want you to think about, pick any item. Pick your favorite item. Could be your car, could be your house, Could be a toy or an antique. It could be a piece of jewelry. Could anything like that. Pick like a favorite item that you have at home. Maybe for you it's your phone. You're just like, I just love my phone. I love what I can do with my phone. Pick something that you own. Now I want to ask you, who owned it before you? Chances are someone else owned it before you. And you could say, no, I bought it brand new. Nobody owned it. The dealership owned it. Or the builder owned it. Or the jeweler owned it. Or Apple owned it. Somebody owned it. Somebody created it. Somebody assembled it and put it together. Somebody owned it before you, and you exchanged money for your thing. And at some point, you will exchange your thing for money, or you will pay money for someone else to take it away. Think about this. And if for some reason you end up with extra at the end of it, your money and your stuff will be handed off to people outside of your control, and what they do with it is not probably going to be what you want them to do with it. Can I get an amen from anybody? So if we can acknowledge this, stewardship can actually lead to freedom, where we go, God, you have given me stuff and money and resources and an ability to think and time and a heartbeat. You've given me all of these things. God, what is it you want me to do with all of these? Because if I align myself with you, I have no greater security than I do when I'm in my relationship with God. I have no greater significance than when I do when I'm in relationship with God. I have no greater purpose than when I am in alignment with God. God, you've given me these resources. What is it that you would have me do with them? What is it that you want me to do? Stewardship leads to freedom. Think about how differently you would see your wealth and your possessions if you truly believed that God owned all of it and has entrusted it to you for a season, for a specific purpose. So let's go back to our friend Zach. Jesus is walking through Jericho, extraordinarily wealthy. All of these people, all of these possessions, the disparity between the rich and the poor is distinct. And Zach climbs up a tree, and Jesus says, I want to go to your house. Which I also think is funny. I want to go to your house. I bet you got steak. Let's go to your place. Whip up something delicious. Let's have a meal together. And so they're sitting there, and they're all having dinner. And then it says this. Meanwhile, Zach stood before the Lord, and he said, I'll give half of my wealth to the poor. Lord, and if I have cheated people on their taxes, I will give them back 4 times as much. And just picture Jesus looking at Zach and smiling. And he says slowly but intentionally, because it's not just for Zach to hear, it's for everybody to hear. He says, salvation has come to this home today, for this man has shown himself to be a true son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save those who are lost. What the heck happened here? We just go from sitting down, eating dinner, laughing, having a good time, and Zach goes, Jesus, half of this. I'm just going to give it away right now. I watched a video of this, of a scene, and it showed him walking over to the wall, and he moved over this rug that was hanging there, and he grabbed what is probably his life savings, and he walked outside the house, and he just started handing it to the poor people that were right outside of his home. It's a powerful scene because he just goes, I don't want to be owned by this anymore. I don't want to be shackled to this. Jesus, I want to be saved. And I don't think he's just talking about being saved eternally with Jesus. I think he's talking about being saved from the thing that has owned him. And so he responds and he gives it away. And then he says, if I've cheated somebody, I'm going to go 4 times the amount. There was law. There was a law that said if you swindle someone or take advantage or whatever, that you have to repay it. But he went above and beyond that. For him, it was about stewardship. It wasn't ownership. It wasn't entitlement. I think it was earlier. He said, no, this is about me doing what is right in the eyes of the one that runs a kingdom. And Jesus made it a point to stop in Jericho to have this conversation with Zach. You know how I know that? Because 10 days later, Jesus would not have been able to spend time with Zach. Jesus would be currently nailed to a cross. That's where this falls on the trajectory of Jesus' ministry. It was as if Jesus went, I have one more stop. I want to make a really intentional visit. I want to go to the place with all the summer homes and big garages, big houses, big personality. I want to go there because there's a guy that I need to talk to, and his name is Zach. And I want to set him free. I think what Zach experienced is the same thing that we can all experience. This is a tool, nothing more, nothing less. Jesus is a person who is fully God and fully man, who was on a mission to accomplish the most important mission that could have ever been given to him, and it was to set people free. Not just from their stuff, not just from their money, but from sin. That's the piece we didn't talk about. A desire for stuff and money and wealth, it's called sin. Desire to drive identity from that and to project that and to compare and to judge sideways in other people, that's called sin. Living a life that's focused on me and what I want and what's important to me and me, that's called sin. Jesus came, and what he said in Luke 19 was to seek and to save the lost. And the problem is, so many of us, we find Jesus, and then it feels like we kind of just wander off again, and we go, I forgot how great this felt. And Jesus goes, hey, come on back. Come on back. Here I am. You don't need to stay attached to that. That won't die for you. I'll die for you. We've got so many cool things that are going on here at Frontline. And this is why I share all of this to you, because I want you to get a sense for how we're trying to manage it here, how we're trying to manage money here. A couple pictures I would show you. The first one is our essential store right now. I feel like this is in line with God's heart, and that's the thing that we desire. Our essential store right now is serving 487 families every single month. 487 from 17 countries, and 75% of them speak only Spanish. One of the opportunities we have right now as a church is to serve, is to come alongside, to say, hey, we all understand that there are physical needs that are at play, but the deeper need that is at play is a spiritual one. And it's about a relationship with Jesus, and that's why you see what's happening there. We're praying together, studying the Bible together, watching God work and move and provide through the local church. Here's another one, our kids ministry right now. So next gen students, children. Students has grown 50% this last year. There was awesome winter retreat participation. I think we had over 70 kids that actually went on a winter retreat this last year. A bunch of them, I think 6 or 8, have been baptized this year alone. Children's has grown as well. And so part of what we did is we needed new space. So we built out new space to actually lower the ratio of adults to children in a confined space so that we could do a better job relating to them and building relationships with them and investing in them and pouring into their hearts and their lives and their relationship with Jesus. That's some of what we're trying to do on the facility side. The last one is just giving. This church is motivated by missions giving, especially. This was last week's giving. We're in a great spot as a church organizationally, but if I'm honest with you, the part that moves me, the part that I desire most, and it's why we put giving right here in this section, is because I care a lot less about the organizational health of our church, and I care a lot more about the health of your own heart. I would rather have us be a church that is on fire for Jesus, and every dollar in our lives is in alignment with him, and we're poor as a church, than be a wealthy church with a bunch of people that go, Jesus can have every part of my life except money. You're still in bondage. Right now, what we know, we've had some larger gifts that came in that provided a significant surplus. It's not up here right now, a significant surplus for the year, but I think we're going to remove that for a season. We're just going to go, this is about our heart. Are we on mission together? Are we aligning ourselves, our money, our finances together to be on mission with Jesus, every one of us? And what we know, just based on data, Luke shared this with me, our executive pastor, only about 50% of our church has actually given anything here at our church in the last year. So I told you at the beginning, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to say it right now, I don't want your money. I really don't. I don't want your money. I don't want you to give something to our church if you feel like I guilted you or shamed you or what I'm trying to show is this is kind of where we're at as a church right now, but we're looking at the discipleship health, the heart health of our church. And what our numbers are telling us is we're maybe not as healthy as we all think we are. So here's my invite to you. There's a pamphlet underneath your chair. I want you to grab it. And the reason I want you to grab it is because I want to explain it. There's a pamphlet under your chair. There's a pamphlet for you. There's a link popping up online for you to grab it. What this outlines is where you might be in a discipleship journey with money. And the reason we put it under your seat is we're not trying to draw attention to this. And there's a commitment card in there. I want you to read through this. You can read through it now. You can read through it tomorrow or later this afternoon. Read through it and ask yourself, and if you're married, do it with your spouse and say, where are we on this trajectory of actually seeing our lives and seeing our money and seeing our stuff as a stewardship of God rather than an ownership of our own? And that commitment card on there, we're not collecting it. I don't want it. Don't come up and hand it to me. I don't want it. That commitment card is between you and God, because the most important thing to me and the most important thing to our church is not that you would give money to us. It's that you'd be in right standing with God, that you would steward what he has given you well. And if you need to make a commitment and you go, Lord, I want to give this outside of here, outside of the church or some other nonprofit or another church or another mission or a missionary or a ministry or something else that moves your heart, please do it. Do it in alignment with how God leads you. That's what I want. Does that make sense? So here's what I want to do. I want to close in prayer and then I want to worship. I want to thank God for what he did for all of us. On the cross, financially, some of you right now, you're saying, I don't have extra. I just don't. Right now I'm in need. We exist to help meet those needs. So share it with us. Share it with somebody on our staff. Send us an email. Fill out a prayer request form. Whatever it is, let us come alongside you, because this whole thing is bigger than money. It's about our hearts. So let's pray together. God, we come before you right now. I just pray, Lord, that we would be a church that is on fire for you, that is on mission with you, that is obedient to you, and that sees all of our stuff as a gift from you. I pray that we would steward it well. I pray that you would find us doing and spending and serving and giving and stewarding all that you have given us in alignment with you to build a kingdom, not for ourselves that will die with us, where moth and vermin destroy, the verse like we read. I pray that we would build into a kingdom that will last forever. And it's a kingdom that will continue to make impacts on generations forever. I just pray that you would stir in our church, Lord, not guilt, not shame, but hope and excitement and joy to align our hearts and ourselves and our lives with you. I pray this in Jesus' name, and all God's people said together, amen. Go ahead and stand up. Let's close and worship together.
My steadfast love, my deep and boundless peace. To this I hold, my hope is only Jesus. For my life is wholly bound to His. Oh, how strange and divine, I can sing, all is mine, yet not I, but through Christ in me. The night is dark, but I am not forsaken. For by my side the Savior Jesus, for he has said that he will bring me home, and day by day I know he will renew me until I stand with joy before his throne. To this I hope, my hope is only Jesus. All the glory evermore to him. When the race is complete, still my lips shall repeat, yet not I, but through Christ in me. To this I hope, my hope is only Jesus. All the glory evermore to him. When the race is complete, still my lips shall repeat, and not I, but through Christ in me. When the race is complete, still my lips shall repeat, yet not I, but through Christ in me. Yet not I, but through Christ in me. Yet not I, but through Christ in me.
Jesus. Can we just sing this hymn together? Great is thy faithfulness. Lead us, Susie.
Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever will be.
Let's sing this chorus together. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Sing, great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faith. Sing that again. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
Thank you. There it is. Hey, thanks for joining us today. And hope it was a gift to you. Again, there's no pressure to do anything here other than the encouragement I would give you. Sit with the Lord. See what he has to say to you. Every time I've done that, I've walked away better and assured and reassured on the relationship that I have with him and the relationship that he desires. So we often close with a benediction, but I'm not going to close with that today. I know you're excited. but I'm not going to. So as you leave today, let your time with the Lord be the benediction. Ask him what he would have you do as you leave today. So go in peace. We love you. We'll see you next week.